Look closely. This is not a finished city. It is a city being built, caught in the middle of the work. Masons are cutting stone. Men are hauling timber up the slope. Elephants are dragging blocks toward half-built walls. And standing above it all, in white, an emperor is watching his vision rise out of bare rock. What you're looking at is the most ambitious city the Mughal world ever built. Within 15 years, it would stand almost completely empty. This painting is the closest thing we have to a photograph of the day it was born. The emperor was Akbar, the greatest of the Mughal rulers, master of an empire that stretched across the north of the subcontinent. For all his power, one thing had eluded him: an heir who would live. So Akbar went to a village called Sikri to seek the blessing of a Sufi saint named Salim Chishti. The saint foretold that the emperor would have sons. When a prince was born in 1569, the boy who would one day rule as Jahangir, Akbar believed the prophecy had come true. He decided to repay it with a city. On the ridge above Sikri, beside the saint's home, he would raise an entirely new capital from nothing, built of the brilliant red sandstone that lay in the rock around him. In 1571, the court moved in. He named it Fatehpur, the city of victory. For the next 14 years, this would be the beating heart of the Mughal Empire, a place designed in a single generation by a single will. Akbar did something almost no ruler of his time thought to do. He had his entire reign written down and painted. The result was the Akbarnama, the official history of his rule, set down by his court historian and illustrated by the finest painters of the imperial workshop. This folio is the work of one of them, a master named Balchand, painted around the turn of the 17th century. And look at what Balchand chose to record. Not a coronation, not a battle. The building site itself, the scaffolding, the rubble, the sweat of the work. The empire was documenting not just its glory, but its labor. That choice is why we can still stand, 400 years later, on the very morning this city was being made. Start at the top, with the emperor. Akbar stands in white, his hand raised, attendants around him, looking out over the work. Everything below him flows from that gaze. Follow the slope down. Stonecutters kneel over blocks, shaping them by hand. A laborer bends under the weight of a long wooden beam, carrying it up toward the walls. These are the rising ramparts of the new city, pink sandstone, course by course. Now the animals. A caparisoned elephant climbs a ramp, hauling its load. Another waits below beside a rider on horseback. This is heavy industry, 16th century style, muscle and stone and patient organization. And at the very bottom, by the water, the smallest figures of all, workers grinding and mixing, carrying baskets on their heads. Balchand puts the humblest labor at the front of the picture because without it, none of the rest could stand. And then, almost as suddenly as it rose, it was abandoned. The problem was simple and fatal: water. The ridge had none of its own. It had to be carried and piped from the river at Agra. And it was never enough for a capital. As trouble stirred in the northwest, Akbar moved his court to Lahore and later back to Agra. Within about 14 years of its founding, the city of victory was all but empty. A perfect, brand new capital left almost intact, slowly going silent. It stands to this day one of the best preserved ghost cities in the world. The city outlived its purpose. The painting outlived the city. We restored this folio from museum archives and produce it as an archival matte print, printed with museum-grade pigment, framed in black, red oak or white in 2 sizes, ready to hang. Free shipping. It belongs to our restored Mughal collection at Aurah Living. Paintings with stories worth telling, made for homes that tell stories of their own. An emperor who built a city to keep a promise and walked away from it within a lifetime. The stone still stands. So does the picture of the day it began. The painting is at aurahliving.com. The link is in the description. And if a story like this belongs on your screen as much as on your wall, subscribe. There are more where this came from.